Hey there and welcome back to The Sims 3. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of this attempt to fully complete The Sims 3 World Adventures. Last time we left off, after wrapping up a lengthy trip to Simhara, our young adventurer Sanat Huja spent more than 2 days inside the Great Pyramid, all in an effort to finally complete the 3 Ancient Relics quest chain. Now today we are going to spend at least 1 full day back on the home lot. I know that I said last time that we might want to do some building today. At this point, also a big apology to Tony Murchison, whose artwork in the last episode I wrongly credited. Both me and you seem to really like his design though. However, in order to make it come true, we need a bit more money. And no, the 18 simoleons we make from selling Sanat's next painting here won't cut it. Nonetheless, there is a minor bit of construction we can do, or rather reconstruction. During his last adventure, Sanat has collected the fragments for several pieces. As you can see, we can now have our very own pushable statue. A sarcophagus is up next that we can in fact store items inside. And finally, the most valuable of the 3, the Sarcophagus of Kings. Sleeping inside this sarcophagus can have a few pretty useful benefits. There is, however, a chance that reconstructing it gives you the cursed version, in which case sleeping inside might actually be useful in some fringe cases too, but overall the blessed version that Sanat seems to have constructed is much better in my opinion. Now, as you can see, we have put all 3 items down into our wine cellar. I think I'd like to grab a second pushable statue to completely block off the path. In the meantime, from the list of channel supporters in the naming rights tier and above, we give the name Rashek to the Egyptian-themed magic gnome, and we place them right beside Throne Conqueror, the magic gnome from France. Then we watch as Fabien plants the 2 life fruits that Sanat collected on his journey, and in doing so, he also improves his gardening skill to level 8. William is quick to follow suit, advancing his gardening skill to level 3, and can now begin the daunting task of analyzing every single relic that Sanat collected during his 3-episode adventure. I think he's got about 50 or so to go through. Meanwhile, Fabien unclogs the toilet and then heads down into the cellar. At handiness skill level 5, he is now able to apply the improved pressing upgrade to the nectar maker, which will permanently yield 1 extra bottle of nectar, albeit at the cost of a small quality reduction. However, Fabien still has a skill challenge waiting for him that requires him to produce 200 bottles of nectar, and we want to be able to complete that as quickly as possible. Now, as Sanat continues painting, William is finally done analyzing relics, so he's now sending off a few gems and metals to be cut and smelted. By the way, our bills, we actually want to leave those in the mailbox for as long as we can. One of Sanat's photography collections requires us to take a picture of the Repo Man. Now at this point, William quickly fulfills his wish to fertilize something in the garden, and shortly after can eat dinner together with Sanat. William has made veggie burgers, and his improving cooking skill is slowly starting to affect meal quality. While we then wait for Yooni to improve her martial arts skill through meditation, which can be a lengthy process, let us purchase the Steel Bladder lifetime reward for her. Having to pee is apparently something for the weaker minds. Just in that moment, her martial arts skill finally passes the threshold over to level 9, and we can quickly work on another rather worthwhile wish. Yooni, and Fabien too for that matter, want to become business partners with 3 separate businesses in town. We are already partnered with 1, and after a quick Zeniport to the bookstore, Yooni is about to make it 2. Back at home, meanwhile, Sanat improves his painting skill to level 5, fulfilling another wish of his, and just a few moments later, Yooni strikes a deal. We are now officially partnered with the Riverview bookstore. The grocery store, the first business we partnered with, also already has money ready for us to collect. And speaking of collecting, due to fulfilling numerous wishes during his last adventure, Sanat now has amassed over 40,000 lifetime happiness points, enough to grab the Collection Helper lifetime reward. The principle is simple. We can tune this to any collectible and it will show up on the map. However, it cannot be used simultaneously with the Tear of Horus. Now, that tier did help us collect plenty of relics last time around, Enough so that we have now finally completed our first relic collection. Let's purchase a display case to proudly show it off. The collection I'm talking about are the canopic jars. 5 different types exist, we have duplicates of many of them. These 5 here are the most expensive of each kind though. Their price tag is not just useful for bragging rights, but also for William's lifetime wish, as he wants to have a relic collection on the home lot worth 20,000 simoleons. To add to the roughly 3,500 simoleons from the 5 jars, we can now also display 2 of the 3 pieces in the Zodiac Animals collection. One we are still missing, but these 2 alone already get us close to 10,000 simoleons. In fact, we could probably already drag the dozens of basic relics from our various inventories, place them somewhere on the home lot and fulfill the wish right here and now, but I would prefer the fulfillment of a lifetime wish to feel special, so for now, no matter how valuable they are, they will stay in our inventories. Late in the evening, Fabien then finishes his work on the nectar maker machine, which will now produce 1 extra bottle per batch, while Sarnat finishes another painting, this the first one that we are not going to sell, as he has a wish to decorate the lot with 2 paintings made by himself. At this point then, our small band of adventurers can all get some rest, and we can skip ahead to the next morning. That next morning begins with placing the aforementioned painting right above our toilet, before we then watch Yooni and Fabien have what is in fact their first proper conversation of the entire series, a good chance to get to know each other better while we fill both of their social bars. Sarnat, meanwhile, can take a photo of the now completed canopic jar collection. This is another reason why we want to complete most of these relic collections, not to mention that this single photograph is now worth more than 1,400 simoleons. As we then once again ignore the school bus for Fabien, the youngest in the household breaks the shower. Thankfully, it is an easy fix and advances his handiness skill to level 6. Speaking of skill advancements, helping out in the garden seems to suit William quite well, now already at gardening skill level 4. The privilege of harvesting, and most importantly planting, that will of course still remain with Fabien. Nonetheless, it is good to see that the 2 can share the workload. With another painting finished by Sarnat, we can then also fulfill his wish. Let's put this one up in the bathroom too, and earn ourselves 325 lifetime happiness points. Afterwards then, it is time for a round of sparring, or rather multiple rounds, between Sarnat and Yooni. The latter still needs to get up to 75 sparring matches for the Simhara King skill challenge, and this here is a handy way to simultaneously also improve Sarnat's martial arts skill. And there we go, barely 2 hours later, now at level 5, Sarnat can finally meditate, which in turn means he can Zeniport, and even though we have so far mostly been using that for pure convenience, there are some scenarios in some particular tombs where it can really be helpful. Now, after winning 1 of what I think were 5 sparring matches in total, it's time for a break. Sarnat can meditate for the first time to fulfill a wish, while William grabs the mail, sadly containing only 1 Mamitonium ingot, considering the value I had hoped for more. At this point, we are also going to remove some of Fabien's plants from the garden. Initially, we wanted him to plant and take care of as many as possible, but now we shift towards quality over quantity, a principle I personally subscribe to too, as you know. We want to get those perfect plants going as soon as we can. With only 2 hours left on William's travel cooldown, he can then also pack the tent and head into town. We are going to become a partner at the local diner next, to fulfill that wish to partner with 3 businesses in town. Fabien, meanwhile, puts down some new and improved plants. We are already up to excellent quality here, not much longer and we might fulfill that wish for a perfect apple tree. As we then watch our young adventurers go about their day, William pays the 6,000 simoleons to partner with the diner, and both Fabien and Yooni earned 2,500 lifetime happiness points for fulfilling their wishes. Now at this point, our 3 adventurers have each taken 2 trips to their respective home countries, and I think they're ready to become true professional adventurers with the guidance of the experienced William Picking. I also think it's time for a little makeover for Yooni, who's the first to be accompanied by William today, So out with the old, in with the new. We're keeping the colors, but put some more emphasis on Yooni's martial arts background here. I also gave her glasses simply because I felt she has a face for it. And with that, we are good to go. Let's have a returning William arrange transport for the next adventure in Shang Simla. We are going for 8 days, just so we don't spend the next 4 or 5 episodes in the same place. And like I said, Yooni and William will travel together. This also has a very practical reason for William that I will explain later. For now, the two arrive and immediately fulfill some wishes to visit the place again. William actually earns a grand total of 4,000 lifetime happiness points just for coming here. We are also going to pick up a quest with him, the repeatable demand for jade that he already completed once before. The main reason here are the visa points, as there is actually a lifetime wish that requires us to have one sim reach visa level 3 in all 3 locations. As you can imagine, that could take a while. Now, we have one piece of jade already in William's inventory, but it's a cut gemstone and thus too valuable for the quest, so let's transfer it over to Yooni and start collecting more, while Yooni herself grabs her adventure for today. Seems like we need to help some monks find an ancient artifact. Sure thing, we can do that. Before we talk to Favida Xiao to learn more though, let's activate the collection helper and tune it to insects. We are looking for one insect in particular, this little red fellow here, the red assassin bug, a rare find worth 600 simoleons. We are not going to sell it though, we will need a few of these later. William also has some of them on his route, so Yooni can speak to Favida outside her home now, who directs us towards the Temple of Heaven. As you may recall, we have already visited the place once before in our search for the Axe of Pangu. One area remained inaccessible though, that's the one we are now trying to get into. William meanwhile has collected all the jade for his quest and can now grab an assassin bug too, before our two adventurers meet up at the temple. Since William is a little slower due to his age, Yooni excavates a nearby relic dig site, where she finds several piles of ancient coins. Then we head into the tomb. Once again, this might look familiar from a few episodes ago. Equipped with the keystone, Yooni can now open the door onwards, just as William joins her. In the first room they enter, Yooni can loot the chests for treasure, while William steps into one of these small chambers here to find a hole in the wall. That hole opens the door on the left side. As Yooni goes through, we can also see that the other door would have led into the same room, so there is no need to use the corresponding hole on the other side. Instead, we can dive right into the well, since all doors leading out of this room are inaccessible at this time. Yooni emerges soon after. The room nearby has 6 holes in the wall, but only the 2 connected by the light blue tiles on the ground are of interest. The others just activate and deactivate various traps. Eventually, Yooni finds the ancient monk relic she was sent here to collect, while William grabs a jade gemstone from the other hole, and after a quick dive through the underground tunnel, the 2 of them can already leave the temple again, at least for now. Yooni is first to arrive at her destination, the house of Favida Xiao, who rewards her efforts with money, ancient coins and visa points, and asks for our continued help constructing a keystone to acquire even more relics. All we need to deliver are 2 pieces of platinum and 2 pieces of lapis. We accept and jump over to William, who has met his old acquaintance Ku Hao Yit in the garden of the Martial Arts Academy. The quest is quickly turned in, but with only 15 visa points as a reward, it may take quite a few more of these to get William to visa level 3. While he's here, he can also quickly greet a local, Ocarina Soto, who I believe we've met before in an earlier episode. 400 lifetime happiness points are earned, and Yooni is already out and about again, making use of the fact that her quest marks all platinum ores on the map for her to collect. We may just need 2, but they are valuable enough to grab a few more for smelting. And who's to say that William can't benefit from this as well? With 2 people, collecting goes twice as fast. Eventually, the 2 meet in the market in the evening and put up the tent. time to get some rest to prepare for another day of adventuring. On the next morning, William quickly stops by General Merchant Matthew Xiao, Favida's husband, to fulfill his wish to purchase a 100 simoleon item with a shower in the can. Yooni, meanwhile, has already made it over to Favida herself and can now turn in the platinum. The gemstones are already in her inventory, since we still had plenty from previous tomb excursions. As a result, the keystone is quickly assembled, and we are tasked with bringing it to the Martial Arts Academy and the Scholar's Garden. That should be easily done. As Yooni sets out, William is working on his wish to find a relic using a dig site spotted with the Tear of Horus, and shortly after, Yooni has gotten close enough to her destination for the key to be ready. Let's return it to Favida. No surprise here, with the key in hand, we now need to enter the Temple of Heaven again to find the lost artifact. William already has a head start, since he wanted to visit the place anyway. His next wish is to sleep in a tomb, and, well, there are beds down here, so no need for a tent, for which we wouldn't have room anyway. Let's take a quick nap while we wait for Yooni to arrive. That only takes a few seconds, and we can watch her put the keystone in place, opening the door onwards, through a small corridor and into an area divided by a large mirror. That mirror is then also the trick to solving this puzzle. We need to pull the statues on this side in the same spots that they occupy on the other. With two people, that is thankfully quick work. We also want to make sure to activate their respective pressure plates with the hole in the wall here, and just like that, a previously locked door in the room with the dive well has been unlocked. Going through, we find a lovely chamber that sadly offers little to interact with except another hole in the wall. Two stairs are revealed as a result, both leading into the same room. Yooni can loot the treasure chest for a Chinese vase, which in turn also reveals two pressure plates that we can swiftly push the two statues onto. Doing so now unlocks the third and final door in the dive well room, which brings us to a place that will test our adventurous strength of will. It is one insanely long corridor looping around and around, itching ever so slowly closer towards the middle. This reminds me of my old days playing Warcraft 3 tower defense maps. Yooni and William, meanwhile, also have plenty of time with their thoughts, but eventually they make it to the center. Here we not only find another zodiac animal, sadly one we already have, but also complete two wishes related to relic value, a total of almost 10,000 lifetime happiness points. Opening the main chest then thankfully reveals a shortcut back out, and with the artifact collected we can return to Favida. Now, why was it important for William to come along for all of this? Well, that's because reaching the final treasure chamber here officially marks this tomb as explored for him, and there is another lifetime wish that requires one of our adventurers to explore 6 tombs in each of the 3 locations. That is the mechanical reason why William will now join all future adventures until he has that number completed. Honestly, he probably should have done so from the beginning, but I wanted to keep things focused on the 3 young ones to get us started. With William quickly fulfilling his wish to explore a dive well, we switch over to Yooni, who brings the good news to Favida, who in turn reveals that the quest is not done yet. Seems like a local, Michelle Wong, who's named after channel supporters Michelle and John Wong, and has also made an appearance before, I believe, holds a missing piece of the artifact, and we are now asked to persuade her to hand it over. That will likely take some socializing, and our 2 adventurers are tired, So we once again sent them to the marketplace, a good central base of operations to retreat to, and have them turn in for the night, as we also make the cut in today's episode. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. And if you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, you can of course also go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or become a channel member or Patreon supporter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.